Hey everyone, it's Teresa, and today we are going to make some more farmhouse DIYs. So let's go ahead and get into those. First up, we are going to make this beautiful farmhouse, like pedestal kind of thing. We're going to use two of the bamboo cutting boards from Dollar Tree, and we're going to go over it with a walnut tint from Folk Art. This is like definitely one of my favorite things to use on these. Now this is a water-based tint. I don't know how it would go if I tried like a regular stain, because I believe those are oil-based. So just an FYI, these little guys do have kind of like a little bit of a varnish to them already. So just keep that in mind. And one thing too, I did have a lovely inspiration for this one. It actually was someone that I found through Instagram. It's Jasper_crafter. I am gonna, include their information down in the description box below as well. She made an absolutely beautiful one, and I could not help myself. I had to make it too, and just reached out to her, just making sure she was all right with it. So I went ahead and gave everything its basic stain, and then we're going to make kind of like that middle part. Now, these beads are actually from a garland that I got around Christmas time from Walmart. So I just have a whole bunch of those. So if you happen to come across during like after Christmas sales, I know it's a little late now, but if you come across any like bead garland things, that they're really great for this particular type of purpose, like, using them for DIYs. So I'm going to go through like the painstakingly slow process of putting down a dab of hot glue pretty much every little spot to put these down at. Now, depending on how cautious you want to be, you could definitely try to sort of get an idea of how well it's going to fit everywhere. At the end of this, placements, I wish I had done a little bit more of that. I did it that first row, but then I didn't do it around the second. You can kind of see there's a little spot that could have been a little bit better, but I'll put that to the side and you won't see it. So then I'm going to go behind all of the beads and add a good, amount of hot glue, just to kind of hopefully keep it a little bit more secure from, moving and bunching around and everything. So you definitely want to make sure this guy is secure. You don't want any of those beads coming out, because once we put on this top part, you're not going to be moving them. So I'm just going to quickly put down, a whole lot of hot glue so it'll keep it, from moving around too much, and give it a good press to keep it nice and secure. And once that's done, I'm just going to take a look at it, make sure I remove any excess glue. And now we're going to put down the little feet. Now these are obviously a much bigger, bead. So these are just, basically got it like Hobby Lobby in a variety pack. So, and I already did all of the staining. I would recommend staining before you're gluing, because the glue, keeps your stain from taking anything. So next we are going to go in and do a pretty heavy like whitewash. And I will include, of course, that inspiration photo for you here. And that is really what I was kind of going for. I did, I believe, a much darker like stain underneath the whitewash. So I really like the way it looks. It gives a lot of, distinctive, difference between like your dark stain and your whitewash. I don't know why. I really liked it. So most of the wood and stuff in my house is dark. So that's kind of why I was going that direction. And if you couldn't tell, I was picking through trying to get some of those little bits of hot glue off. So like I said, we're just going to go through pretty much the whole thing. I do also end up doing underneath. I'm really not sure why, because nobody's going to see it. But I was like, just in case, you never know. Somebody picks it up and sees underneath it. And like I said, you want to clean up as much as you can. And I would definitely recommend, if you have a heat gun, that makes it much easier to clean up any excess glue. So you're going to do this throughout the whole piece. And once you're finished with that, you're pretty much done with this project. I was a little intimidated at first, thinking like, oh, this is going to be so hard, but it really wasn't. It was actually very easy to do. So we'll cut here just a minute, finishing up all of that painting, and we're going to head on over into our next project. Now this is kind of just like a little trinket tray kind of thing. We're going to start with one of these little signs, and we're going to remove the screws, and we're going to go ahead and paint this whole thing in this Parisian Grey color. And we're going to add on some of different beads. I don't know, I was very inspired by beads this time. So we're just going to add some of those beads down to the bottom to give it some little feet. I recently watched a video from Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs on some different DIYs she did, and she added these to like a shadow box, and I fell in love with it. So speaking of which, this video is actually a part of a collaboration with Christi Creates and Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs, and it is the Chic for Cheap. I have to slow down every time I try to say that. So as always, the playlist and both of their channels are going to be linked below. So go check them out. Go check out the whole playlist. And if you're coming over from the playlist, leave a comment, let me know, introduce yourself. And if you wouldn't mind subscribing, I would absolutely love to have you here. So as you can tell here, we have finished painting everything, and we're going to just add in a little bit of scrapbook paper just to kind of give it a little something different, where we're going to put like all of our trinkets or jewelry or whatnot. And that one's done. So on to our very last one, and this one kind of, I got some inspiration a little bit from like some Hobby Lobby Kirkland's kind of look. So we're going to take 2 of these signs from Dollar Tree, and these are of course in the Valentine's Day section, so you can still pick them up if you want to repeat this project. We're going to remove all of that stuff from the back, all of the staples. Be very careful that you don't end up, you know, stabbing yourself or anything like that, so be careful. And we're going to do that to all of the parts of the signs, and it's nice because you end up with those 2 signs, you have, you know, a lot of material to really work with. And if you want a bigger, like, overall box, if that's what we're going to call it, you can definitely go in and use the larger rectangular signs from Dollar Tree. You obviously just get 1 for $1, so you could do that if you wanted to, if you wanted a bigger box. And they actually have some now that have a shiplap effect to them, so it's like some of the work's kind of already done for you if you end up using those to make a bigger one. So I'm going to remove those little galvanized hearts. We're going to use them later on in the project. I kind of wish I'd like taken my heat gun and, you know, tried a little harder to not pull up all the paper, but it's okay. We're going to cover it up anyways. And so what we're going to do first, though, is we are going to go ahead and fill in all of those holes with our spackle. This is just Dollar Tree spackle, you know, put in the hole. It's not too much of a big deal if there's a little bit of a texture left over from where the hole was, because we're just going to give it like a very rustic look to it. So, and following with my wonderful friend Sammy, she loves to do this. I figured, hey, I told her I want to be like Sammy when I grow up. So I'm going to go ahead and do this too to give it a much more finished look. This is going to go on the inside of the box. I just thought it would be nice to have it a little more finished. And a little tip for you here, if you do this, this is packing paper or craft paper, whatever you'd like to call it, from Dollar Tree. If you iron it, I know that sounds ridiculous. If you iron it, it's going to keep it from getting really curled. I actually have a Trinket Easy Press, so I just set it on like the lowest setting available. I think it was like 210. I can't remember. Basically, the lowest temperature it will go. And then you're just going to kind of iron your paper, and that's going to keep it from curling up. So, you know, I decided it was worth that little bit of time to do it because it kept me from getting overwhelmingly frustrated with trying to do this. So I decided it was worth it. So, you know, pick your battles, basically. All right, so what we'll do is we're just going to, you know, put that down on just the side that we pulled those hearts off of, because that is the part that's really looking pretty bad. Like if you were to paint that, it obviously would not do very well. And I was so careful when I traced it out, making it, you know, as close as I could, and I still had to trim it up. So going forward on the rest of these panels, I'm not going to bother too much with that. So once we're done with that and we've sanded off all the excess, we're going to go in with this Adirondack white paint. I am just going to do the walls on, to as far as the white paint goes. No sense in painting the inside of it, at least not in my mind. And then I'm going to use another one of those panels that we cut off. And I'm sorry, the weird angle here. I had my camera weird on this one. But we're going to just basically measure off of the, when you have the box all set up, get a good straight line with a ruler and go in with your craft knife, score it down a little bit, and then break it apart. Again, it doesn't matter too much if you rip it on the side, on that side. And see, I ripped it, so I just cut off the extra. So don't worry about it. You're going to cover it up anyways. And this isn't like this is giving you, heavy amount of support. There they are. And what we're going to do is we're going to start putting this guy together. You're just using your hot glue, and you're going to use hot glue obviously to put it together. And then you're also going to use some hot glue on the inside part to kind of give it a little bit more added security, added strength, added something. I really felt like that was an essential part of this project. Like, I couldn't just glue them together. It just didn't work out for me. I tried to do it once and it fell off. I can't remember if I included that or not. It was funny though. I was like, oh, nope, that needs more than that. This piece right there, it definitely wanted to fall off. So just add the extra, see, it tried to fall. I did. I caught it. But so you're just going to hold it in place, let it dry a little bit. And once you add the ends of it, that's going to help obviously a lot for the, level of security. What I will recommend though is don't add any glue until it's kind of pieced together. See how I've pieced it together right there, checking like, oh, here, let me make sure, and then add your glue like that. And then you're going to hold it in place really well. And in the process of this little project, I burnt the heck out of myself with some hot glue. So be careful. Glue, hot glue especially, is very hot. I'm sure you don't have to be told that. I'm sure you know. But as a reminder, and see, here I am. I'm just going to hold it all together. And like I said, put it all together and then add your glue in the corners. And then add your little bit on the inside to give it, see, the little extra security. So that is my tip of this particular project. And we're going to do the same for the other side, but since you've seen it once, you don't need to see it again. Next, we're going to go in with our antique wax and give it a quick coat. I wish it could go this fast in reality. But this is just going to give us a little bit of a wood look. Don't worry about how it looks because in a minute we're just going to whitewash over it. So apparently today I was very inspired by like a whitewashed look because I have two projects that are like that, and I almost made the third one like that, but then I held back and it's like, no, let's do something a little bit different. So just add it in wherever you feel like you need it. You can go super light with this. You could even mix this with some water. You could mix this with some of the clear wax if you wanted a lighter look. It just depends on what you want. So once you're finished with that, we're going to go over this with a whitewash. We've got, this is sheepskin, and I added in some water. And it is pretty thick, so I ended up going in a lot heavier than I initially wanted, but then I was like, oh well, we're going with it. So you'll just do a good like dry brush of it. See, like if you get to the point where you think there's too much of it, just grab a paper towel real quick and rub it down a little, and that'll kind of get rid of at least some of it. So one of our saving graces is that I didn't go in with that Adirondack white. I went in with the other one. So, and again, because I'm in love with putting those beads on the bottom as feet, I'm just going to add in those little beads. Make sure you're putting, I didn't put enough glue. One of my little legs actually ended up falling off. So put a lot of glue because they do not hold as well because you're putting it right onto that paper. So, and we're going to just take that same thing. We're just going to take our antique wax and give it a little coat on the beads so that it looks the same. On the last project, I actually did not do anything to the little feet, and I like the way that looked with the gray, but I felt like this stood out a little bit too much against that whitewashed look. So we're going to go in with this wax first, and then we're also again going to go in with that whitewash on these as well. So just to give it a little bit more of like a cohesive look. And I'm going to show it to you like fully. Apparently I would have thought like, hey, let me show you one. No, I showed you all four because they're not, you know, they're all the same, but you know, we'll go with it today. Again, do not forget to go check out the playlist. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great things to see. We're going to use some of these little bottles. They are from Hobby Lobby. I remember I got them half off, so pretty inexpensive. I'm going to paint those white. And while everything is drying, I'm going to pull off the backs of these little hearts. I tell you what, they were way harder than I expected. This was not like your run-of-the-mill normal like glue or adhesive that Dollar Tree uses. This was like some serious stuff. So if you get those signs thinking like, oh, those hearts are going to just pop off, I don't think they're going to. We're going to add a little bit of twine onto the back. Now, what you'll need to do if you're going to recreate what I had made is just do a piece on each side, because we're going to actually tie it around the bottle as opposed to hanging it over the bottle. So, but either way, you'll need to go ahead and just fix down some twine on each side of that heart, and it's just going to be like almost like a little sign. You could totally put letters on it. That would be adorable, but I did not do that. And I don't know why, I just kind of felt like, hey, this needs a little something else. So I added some handles onto the edges. I thought about making like one long, you know, cord of rope from one side to the next. So that's an option as well. Just kind of depends on what you're feeling like. I mostly was lazy and did not want to get the thicker rope out. So ended up with a handle on each side instead. I'm just going to put those down there. They're just like little glass jars that I had left over from some kind of like creme brulee kit. So just to add a little bit of height. It definitely needs height for these little bottles. So here I am. I was like determining I needed to cut it. So I cut down the little part of the heart, and I'm just going to tie it onto it. That way you can pull it off. I just thought that this would be kind of cute for Valentine's Day. It's just a little touch of Valentine's Day. And if you add some letters to it, like Home Sweet Home, I thought about putting like the words on each heart. That would have been super cute too. Or if you have those little tags, the chalkboard tags, those would be adorable to put on here as like a normal regular thing where it's not like specific to Valentine's Day. And we're going to just add in this little scrap of material. It's from Dollar Tree as well. And just to give it a little something, I didn't have a ton of like filler to put in there. So I was like, well, let me just add this little bit of material to give it a little more farmhouse look. And then these little sprigs of boxwood. Those are from Walmart, and I apologize, I cannot recall the price. And then that one is done. So there's all of our projects all finished up. Do not forget to go check out that playlist as well as the hosts, both Christi and Sammy. You're going to love them. If you haven't seen their channels, I'm sure you're probably already subscribed to them because they're amazing. And I hope you enjoyed today's videos, and I will catch you again next time. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe.